Hello. Welcome. Give you a second to get your notification that I am live. And let me pull this up so I can see your comments. Da, 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 da. All right, so Facebook is sometimes a pain. All right. Someone just say hello. Someone type hello so I can make sure that I can see you. Someone type hello. Someone type hello. I want to make sure that it's working. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Amber. All right, I gotta make my little makeshift thing so I can't see myself on double screens, and then we're gonna get started. So welcome. All right, I am so ready. What a beautiful day. I have been working on sessions all day long. Hello, Timothy. So, hey, hello. Hi, Leisha. I've been working on sessions all day long and love it. Super love helping people, but I way overbooked myself. So I'm kind of a little bit exhausted, but I'm going to get my mojo on for you guys. I've got something really cool that we're going to do. So first thing that we're going to do is we are going to talk about, oh, this is so fun. Everyone, so many of you struggle with this. And I thought this is a perfect time because what are we? 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, a week and some change away from Thanksgiving. And so we're going into the holiday season. So guess what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the mentalness that happens around holiday seasons and get-togethers with family. I know that depending on where you are, maybe this isn't as big of an issue right now because you might be facing the whole COVID crisis. Maybe you're still getting together with family. Neither here nor there. I'm just going to help you with a couple of things, and that's what our focus is going to be on. Now, second part of this Sunday healing session is going to be me giving one of you a beautiful gift. So if you want to be my participant, it's very easy. It doesn't cause you any pain, I promise. But all you're going to do is let me know in the comment if you currently have any pain somewhere. So let this be some pain that you can feel pretty good. And that during the session, you would be able to tell me like, okay, so right now my pain is at on a scale of 0 to 10, like 7 or 8 or something. I don't care what number it is. But just tell me what number it is. And then we'll work on you. And we'll bring that pain down and you'll be able to feel it and see it. So that's why I say like make it something that you can actually feel. That way we can watch it go down together and I can show you how beautiful the body code process is. Okay, so if you want to be my little participant, all you have to do is comment in the box. It'll be super easy. I'll ask you some really basic questions, so nothing chaotic. You're just gonna type and tell me what you're, so if you want to be the person I work on, all you got to do, tell me where your pain is and what level it's at, 0 to 10. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, let's focus on an issue that everyone can, get some fantastic, what do we want to call it? Tips and tricks to dealing with family. All right. So holiday season. Who is struggling already? Who is getting together with family? Who is like, this is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. However, I can't stand to go over to grandma's house because Aunt Betty is there and she drives everyone absolutely crazy. But there are things that make it so you go to grandma's house still, right? So let's talk about what those things are. Most of the time, for most people, there's two emotions that get associated with holiday get togethers, and those are typically fear and guilt. And if you're like, fear, what do you mean fear? Like, I'm not afraid of Aunt Betty. No, but you're not really necessarily afraid that Aunt Betty is going to take you out back and beat you with a wooden spoon. But you have a fear of this. What if I don't go? Right? What kind of Pandora's box am I going to open if I don't show up for a holiday event that I'm expected to be at? If this is a holiday get together that you've been at your entire life, right? Then you feel almost like you're almost obligated to be there. You almost feel like if I don't go, the heavens aren't going to open when I die, and I'm not going to make it to the magic, heaven. Anyway, you have what we call an acknowledgement, a past acknowledgement. This acknowledgement, unfortunately, is typically something that gets created when we're kiddos, because when we don't do things that our parents expect us or want us to do, even if it's for our own good, then we get into a place of feeling like we are letting people down. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, church is a really great example of that. I have to move my gingerbread box for a second. Unfortunately, church is a really great, even though I'm talking to you, like, it's seriously driving me crazy that I turned my Pandora off. I like to have like that little background music, and usually it's rain or something. It just helps my mojo flow. Mojo flojo. But I turned it off when I went live on Facebook, and now I have all this crap piled in front of my computer and I can't see it. Okay, there we go. That feels so much better. All right. So we have this agreement with ourselves that if we don't go to so-and-so's house, we don't go to church on Sunday, we don't go to school every day, we don't do a certain thing, then we've been taught that we have an agreement that some kind of negative event is going to happen, right? So whatever it is, but think about it, right? If you didn't go to someone's house, your parents dragging you there, then you're going to have some kind of disappointing reprimand from it. You're going to get in trouble. What are we taught, right? If we don't go to church, what's going to happen to us? Either you're going to get in trouble by your parents, or they bring it up to the next level. You don't go to church, and then what's going to happen to you after, you pass away, or you're not going to have blessings, whatever it is. So if we don't go to school, what's going to happen? Your parents have told you something, a bad repercussion happens if we don't go to school. It's just the way that we're raised. So we get these agreements in our head, but unfortunately we use these for everything. If you don't behave yourself, Santa is not going to bring you any gifts, okay? So past agreements get into our heads, and how many of you, still believe in, if I don't be good, I'm not getting any gifts for Christmas? Probably some of us. It's hard to disconnect from that when that's what you were taught your entire childhood life. Maybe I'm not deserving because I haven't been good. Human nature, if I haven't been good, I'm not deserving. So acknowledgement. So the problem is when we get together with family, this is an expectation. This is something that has been just drilled into our little craniums, that when we don't do this, that something is either wrong with us, we're being disrespectful, this, that, or the other. Okay. So the first one, right? It's fear. It's fear of, well, what if I don't go? That's the number one. And the second one is guilt. I feel guilty. So why do we feel guilty if we don't go to someone's house? Well, I've heard it all. I feel guilty because I don't want to make someone feel bad. I feel guilty because, this is my favorite, I feel guilty because I'm doing that to my kids. All right. Now, there's probably not even a one of you out there that doesn't want to go to a family member's house because you don't have a reason. Okay, unless you just happen to be super big introvert, there's probably a reason why you don't want to go to a family get together, right? And it's probably because in your mind, you feel that there's a particular person at said event that is probably going to display some kind of toxic behaviors, or when you put certain people together, you get a toxic behavior. So and so doesn't get along with so and so, so we know when we get together, right, we're going to have an explosion. And so that's why you don't want to go to your family event. But if I don't go to my family event, then what kind of catastrophe am I going to create? Potentially a large one, right? So that's where the fear comes in. Now, coming back to the guilt with your kids, do you really think you should feel guilty by not allowing your children to go to a family event where toxic behaviors are carrying on? I'm going to go with no. So, allowing your children to be around toxic behaviors so that they can enjoy a family holiday is actually doing them a toxic behavior. If I take my kids to a family member's house and all that's going on is um, like anything. It could even be the conversation that we're having in the car. My kids are hearing it, right? I'm complaining to my husband, like, I don't want to go to this house. This is what's gonna happen. Hi, Jan. I know I couldn't figure out how to go live on my actual event, so it's kind of messing it up. Um, so we tend to feel that rewind. Okay, so as always saying, so you're sitting in the car with your spouse, your significant other, the person you love, the person you hate to love, the person you love to hate, whatever they are to you, and you're talking about what's going to happen at this family event. So that in of itself is technically not really, the best thing for your kids in the back seat to be listening to. So this insane behavior that we're exposing ourselves to can happen right before we even get there. And then we get there and we're watching so and so do this or so and so do that. Or we're watching, maybe you have, maybe it's your own mother. Maybe you go into the kitchen and right off the bat, your own mother is talking about how this cornbread that you brought doesn't look right. This doesn't look like the cornbread we normally have. You didn't, what temperature did you cook it out? It's just like totally already dysfunctional. You're on the defense. Now you just feel, know what I'm talking about. Some yucky things going on. Maybe, Aunt Sarah shows up and she's just highly intoxicated as always. And, is what the problem is though, is you're letting your kids see all this. And so guess what happens to them? Okay. Your kids just look at this and they're like, well, this is totally normal, acceptable behavior. Totally normal, acceptable behavior and totally okay for me to be around it. And so then we're carrying on the generational chaos, right? So when they branch out into their own families, they think it's okay to go to someone's house, to be disrespected, to have people, being inappropriate, like whatever it is, they're like, well, this is how I was raised. This is how, we give ourselves some kind of an excuse for why this is okay. So that's the first one I'll tell you. Get past the fear. Get past the guilt. Get past the guilt of, well, if I don't go over there, then, my kids aren't around family, yada, yada, yada. I promise you that your kids not being around toxic family is not going to harm them. It's actually going to help them in the long run because you're showing them that you don't have to make an acknowledgement. You don't have to make an agreement with yourself to do things to please other people that are actually really harmful for yourself, okay? The other one is fear. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid if I tell Aunt Janice or Grandma Margaret that I'm not coming to her house for the holidays, she's going to have a freak out moment. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, she probably is going to have a freak out moment, but you let her have a freak out moment. Now, other question is, do I explain myself? Do I explain myself for why I don't want to come over to your house? That depends. Okay? So here is what I base this off of. It depends. Has it been pretty obvious in the past? Have you already explained yourself to the person or to the people? Because if that is the case, then no. Just stop and say like, hey, maybe you don't want to go over there because you can be, I'm totally 100%. People cannot fault you for being a clear communicator. Don't be rude about it, but just say, well, I'm going to use a really horrifying situation, but unfortunately this is very true. Okay. Really horrifying situation. I'm going to say that Uncle Frank sexually molested me when I was a child. Okay, so I don't want to go to a freaking family party because Uncle Frank is there. Nobody else in the family knows about this except for Uncle Frank and for my mom. But because we have issues where we have acknowledgments that we don't detach ourselves from people because he's a family member, I don't want to go to Grandma Margaret's house because Uncle Frank is there. Okay, so do I feel like I need to tell the whole freaking family all about how Uncle Frank sexually molested me? That's kind of a personal decision for me. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you that you base it off of how you're feeling. You do not need to, the only thing that I would say is, and maybe this was a bad example, because I would tell people because I don't want Uncle Frank molesting anyone else. But nonetheless, okay, let's say that everyone knows that Uncle Frank molested me. I do not need to give everyone a reason why I do not want to go to Grandma Margaret's house because Uncle Frank is there. Okay, and maybe your situation isn't quite this dramatic, but you don't need to tell anybody. You don't need to. Just say, hey, Grandma Margaret, I just want you to know that if Uncle Frank is going to be at the holiday this year, then I'm choosing not to go. But I absolutely 100% respect you that if Uncle Frank is going to be there, that's a great decision. I'm just not going to be there myself. Now, if you're like, I don't know, I'm not really into that, I'm not even going to tell you that I would hide away from actually just making an excuse for why you don't want to go. Here's the reason why I just be upfront right away is because if you decide that, because come on, right now, anybody's going to get away with saying, I don't feel well. I think I'm getting a fever. Nobody is going to expect you at a holiday this year if you feel slightly well. So I will tell you that you can use that as an excuse. You can just be like, I don't feel good, and you're going to get away with it. The problem is that somebody's going to put two and two together that every single holiday you don't really feel well. So for me, I don't like to carry that around. So I'm just going to be really upfront. Like, hey, just even say something simple. Just say, you know what, lately I just feel like myself, and I'm just going to use my brother's name. I love my brother, but just say, hey, I just feel like Sean and I are we kind of are having some issues, just not really super getting along. And I want to make sure that the holidays are, filled with joy and merriment and whatever you want to say. And just say, I just feel like we have some stuff we need to work out. So I'm not going to be coming over this year. And, don't take it personally. Okay, now, if you're like, that's never going to fly, person on the other end still going to freak the heck out. Well, my response to that is let them freak the heck out. Okay, because here's the problem. People, are you ready for this? Because I'm about to diss on a lot of family members that you probably have. People who are in a balanced emotional state do not freak out at other people for making choices that are you ready for this? Healthy for them. I'm going to say that again. Your family members, if they are in a balanced emotional state themselves, are not going to be freaking out at you for saying, hey, I'm stepping back and I'm not coming over because I respect the other people around me and I respect myself. That's a big thing. That's a big maturity thing that most people can't do. So, I'm the type of mom. Now, my kids are younger. They're not really old enough to have families and all that jazz, but they will at some point. I have personally been victim to someone that does the whole crybaby thing where they're like, oh, I guess you're not coming over to our house this holiday because you're going to spend it with someone else, right? Who's had a parent do that or a mother-in-law do that? And you're like, holy, are you serious? Like, I had someone tell me the other day, like something super crazy, that they had a family member that was like, well, they were trying to like split things up, which I absolutely hate this. Talk about giving me an anxiety attack. On Christmas morning, I'm going to go to so-and-so's house for breakfast. Then we're going to go to so-and-so's house for lunch. Then we're going to go to so-and-so's house for dinner. And then we're going to go to so-and-so's house for dessert. And it's like, you're going to 4 families' houses. And that's how we used to be. And I absolutely freaking hated it. And I am dragging my kids around that need to take a nap. And then you get to so-and-so's house and your kids are just raging because they're so exhausted. They got up way too early and it's just complete and utter hell is what it is. So I don't play that game. But I had a family member tell me that, or a family member, a super close friend tell me that when she said this to another family member and said, oh, we're going to split the day up, the family member said, no, it's either all or none. You either come over here or don't come at all. And I was like, holy hello. Talk about having some kind of like emotional issue. If you're telling your family member, they have to come over to your house and they can't go over to anybody else's house that day. And if they do, then they can't come over at all. I was like, holy toxicity. You could just fill up a lemonade pitcher with that toxicity, add some ice to it and serve it all around the table, because that is totally messed up. Okay, so back to these family members and you feeling fear. If your family member opens a can of worms and tries to go all out on you, don't engage. Don't engage in argumentative behavior. All you have to say is, hey, I'm doing this because I respect myself and I cannot be in a situation with negative energy. That is all I would say, and I would leave it at that. Walk away, put your hands up and walk away. If the person keeps arguing with you, just say something simple like, hey, I understand how you feel, but I'm just asking that you respect my decision. That is it. Don't give them ammo. Don't give them ammo. People have a really hard time arguing with you when you use the words, I understand how you feel. And so, this is the decision that I'm making, and you keep it very short. Now, when you respond and you start attacking people, that's when it keeps coming back and you're just like, ammo firing squad, everybody's going to town. Just keep it simple. Don't engage in argumentative behavior, because typically the type of people that are going to freak out that you're not coming over for the holidays are the ones that have loaded guns, and they are just bam, 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 bam. Now, the other issue says this. What am I going to do? Because I know if I'm not there, then everybody's going to talk about me. If you're not there and everybody is talking about you, why would you want to be there? Okay? I don't want to sit around a table with people that I know that if I'm not there, all they're going to do is gossip and talk about me. Honestly, are those the type of people that you want to be around? Okay, heaven forbid that if they were not family members and these were only your friends, would you want to be around them? No, because you'd be like, I don't have friends like that. Kate, you don't need to have family members like that either. So stop allowing yourself to be disrespected because you're trying to respect other people. Bing, bing, ding-a-ling-ling. There should be a huge bell going off in your head, because that is absolutely huge. Okay, now we're going to talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to tell you. Okay? After I tell you this one, I'm going to do a healing on anyone. So if you have a pain issue and you want me to show you how fantastic the body code is and you would like your pain to go away, then type in the comment where your pain is. So I simply just need to know, hey, it's in my right knee and it's on, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, it's at a 5. So we can work on you and you can see it go away. Okay? No harm, no foul. If somebody doesn't say that they want to do this, then totally fine. Okay. So let's talk about the second part. Part 2. Okay. So we talked about you going over to a family member's house. What about family members coming over to your house? Because maybe you're like, well, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm hosting family at my house and I don't know what to do because I don't want a person to come over. So what am I supposed to do? Because I also don't want to look like the Wicked Witch of the West by telling someone they can't come to my house. All right. So I love using symbology. So let me tell you what this is like. By the way, don't you love my shirt? It's so cute. So I have a fascination with Alice in Wonderland because of my little girl that passed away. And this is new. Spill the tea. Okay. All right. People coming over to your house. Because I don't want to look like a jerk. I don't want to look like a jerk if I say that I don't want my dad over at my house for the holidays, but I want other people in my family to come over to my house for the holidays. So, in the first situation, you basically have 2 choices. So when we talked about you going to someone else's house, you can do 2 things, right? You can either not go. You're going to create some confrontation. Absolutely. I told Dave the other day, I said, when is the last time that we actually went to a get-together with family on either side? Because of COVID, too. I was like, I don't know. It's been a year, probably. I don't know. I don't miss it because I'm just not like that. It's not for me. So you can either tolerate it and go, bite your tongue, knowing that, you're going to have issues. But the problem is that so this is totally a misdemeanor. Misdemeanor? That doesn't sound right. Miss something. Misdemeanor. Aha! No, we're not talking about drinking and driving. Hold on, I gotta open my window. It's so hot in here. misconception. That's what it is. It is a misconception for you to say, I'll just go over to their house and I'll be fine and I'll just tolerate it. Because guess what? You suck up energies. You suck up energies from that crap, happy storm of people. And regardless of whether or not you want to just ignore what's going on, you're sucking up negative energies. Now, your body is 99% empty space. Did you know that? 99% empty space. If you took all the empty space out of your body, you basically shrivel up to nothing and you wouldn't even be able to see yourself. So the problem with that is you have a lot of storage spaces that you can keep little stupid vibrational crappy energies that people are giving off, and you just kind of like, and they get stuck in you and they create all sorts of problems, and then you don't feel well, then you have back issues, and then you have stress, any kind of stress. This is what happens when it gets stuck in you and you just feel crappy. It causes issues with sleeping. So yeah, you can go to their house and you can tolerate it, sure, but you're going to pay the piper for it later, whether you think you are or not. And that stress and tension from being at someone's house that you don't want to be at, it may not even manifest itself now. It can manifest itself to you in a year from now. It can manifest itself to you in 2 years from now when you get into a car accident. Somehow that trapped emotion that you got at Aunt Sophie's house 5 years ago from being in chaos is actually manifesting and rearing its ugly head because you were in a stressful situation in a car accident. And that is how that works. Okay? I'm talking so fast I have to drink. It's just flavored water. Calm down. Okay. So good. All right. Now, let's go on. What about people coming to my house? Same thing, right? You can tolerate people coming to your house, or you can ask people not to come to your house. Now, for those of you that are like, that is just so rude. That is so rude. I'm going to tell you something that I did. Okay? I'm all about honesty. I'm all about putting it out there. So back when my spouse took his life, okay, this is back years ago, he took his life, and I know all of the underlying issues that were associated with his mental, calm down, it's just water. I know all of his underlying issues that were associated with his depression, okay, and they were all related to his family. He never was upfront with them about it, but of course we talked about it all the time. He had one uncle in particular that I would absolutely say, let's say that a coffin has 12 nails in it. I would absolutely say that his uncle put at least half of those nails in there. And so when he passed away by suicide, I picked up the phone and I called his uncle. And his uncle absolutely misunderstood what I said because I called him on the phone and I said, hey, uncle, so-and-so, I just want to let you know that you are not welcome at Shane's funeral. And the uncle says, oh yeah, no, we wouldn't miss it for the world. We want to support you in every way possible. And I was like, do not blow smoke up my hootie, because guess what? The entire time that I've known my husband and that we've been married, you have done nothing but make his life an ever living hell. And I don't do fake. So do not show up. You will not be at the funeral, or I will personally escort you out of the church myself. Yes, I did that. I did that because I was not going to spend the rest of my life seeing this man at my previous husband's funeral and having that in my memory, because he doesn't need to be there. He doesn't deserve to be there. He's not respected. My husband couldn't stand him. Don't show up and pretend like you're a great person and put on a face and put on a show and come to a funeral so the rest of the people in the community can be like, oh, what a great guy, right? Yes, I did do that. So sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. It's not okay to be mentally harmful to yourself so that you can people please anybody else. In any situation, I don't care what it is, do not be people pleasing to hurt yourself, okay? And guess what? It's been years. He's still around. He's still a doofus. He's still doing stupid things. So you know what? It didn't really affect him. Okay. So what about having people in your own house? Why do you not want to have a person at your house? regardless of whether you know this or not, know this or not, your home is its actual own source of energy. So your house absorbs things. Your house absorbs your energy. Your house absorbs energy from everything. Your house can absorb energies from toxins. You can have mold in your house. It can give off energy. Who's lived in a house where you're like, I'm pretty sure there are other things living here besides us? Yeah, raise your hand. Those are called entities. We're not talking about like creepy, freaky horror movie ghosts. I'm just talking about spiritual entities that can attach themselves to things, and sometimes they happen to be in our homes. They're really, really easy to get rid of, though. You don't need to call ghost hunters. You can just ask them to leave. It's not that big of a deal. But the problem with them is that if they, by nature, when they were here, happen to have a negative energy, guess what? They still have it. They still have their negative energy. So, I would welcome anyone into my house that was bubbly and fun and happy and joyful as an entity, because they're still running around with happy, joyful, bubbly energy, and it's fine. But you don't want people affecting your home that have negative energy. So if you're like, well, if I just let Uncle Frank come over, I can tolerate it. It'll be okay. You know what this is like? So let's pretend that it's really cold outside. It's a blizzardy Christmas day in the state of Utah. It's -5. Okay, probably not that cold. Doesn't usually get that. Let's just see it's 3 degrees outside. It's 3 degrees outside. I'm hosting Christmas at my house. People are coming over anywhere between 3 o'clock and, there's lots of little kids, and maybe we do something fun where we watch, like we send the kids down to, I don't even have any of this, but I'm just saying, hypothetically. I don't have people coming either. But let's say, hypothetically, in my own little world, this is my house, so I'll make it up in my fantasy. I have a really cool theater. I have a theater in my basement. So we bring everyone over at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we start with hors d'oeuvres, and then we just watch football. Yeah, that's what we do. We watch football, and all the kids go downstairs to the theater room, and they put on The Grinch, and they watch The Grinch, and they have snacks, and it's like a big movie party. And then after that's over, everybody has dinner and then dessert, and then we sit around and we open gifts, right? Like this is the like fantasy land that everybody wishes they had. And then after that, like it's really late at night, we go outside and we leave cookies and we leave carrots for Brooke. Tell Caleb to tell Ops to stop texting during my life. We leave out carrots for the reindeer. Okay, see where I'm going with this? So it's like a big old festivity. Okay, so Christmas goes from, by the way, this is all make-believe. So if you're like, what is she talking about? This is my fantasy. So if we start Christmas dinner, get together at 3, no, let's just go earlier, 12, noon, because we go sledding. Yeah, we go on a sleigh ride before. So we go on a sleigh ride, and so Uncle Frank is there at 12 because he's going on the sleigh ride too. So we go on the sleigh ride, we do all this stuff. So by the time everyone leaves my house, it's 10 o'clock at night, okay? So from noon to 10 o'clock at night, everyone's at my house on the holiday. All right, now let me explain to you what it's like having a toxic person with bad energy in your house that you don't want there. It's 3 degrees outside in the state of Utah. I have all these people over at my house, and the second that Uncle Frank walks in the door, because he's our toxic person, Uncle Frank leaves the door wide open. And as long as Uncle Frank is there, you're not allowed to shut the door, right? You're like, that sounds so incredibly insane. How stupid is that? Do you want to leave your front door of your house open? I don't, let's even make this worse. Uncle Frank's a real doof. So we have the front door open and the back door open and the garage door open. You know what? Let's just make it total chaotic, because now we have Aunt Betty there too. And Aunt Betty's also toxic because Aunt Betty and Uncle Frank hate each other. So it's just like, they're both giving off like super negative energy and they're just clashing. So now you might as well have the freaking outdoor feral cats are running through your house too. So you've got all the doors are open. It's 3 degrees outside. The neighbor's dog is in, taking a poop on your carpet, and all the cats are running freely through your house. Okay? Now you're like, this is absolutely insane. Well, that's what's having toxic people in your house is over. So let's say that, after 6 hours of having your doors wide open, it's 3 degrees outside, all the neighborhood cats and dogs are running through. because they can smell your holiday turkey. And now finally everyone goes home. Okay, so now it's 10 o'clock at night. Everyone's gone. So now you've just recovered and you're like, okay, I'm just going to shut the doors and everything. What does your house feel like? Your house feels cuck, right? Because you've left your doors open. How long is it going to take if it's 3 degrees outside for your home to heat back up? A long time. How long is it going to take for you to clean your house up after all those animals, the garage cats have been running through there? It's going to take hours. Okay. Now here's the residual effects of this, because one could be like, well, yeah, at some point, all of this is going to go away and my house is going to heat back up and I'm going to clean it up. Great. But here's the problem. You get rid of all that. And then 30 days from now, you get a utility bill and you're like, what in the holy bananas is this? Because it's $500 to heat your house because you had Uncle Frank over and you affected the energy in your house. Or the fact that no matter how much you shampoo your carpet, it still smells like cat urine and there's nothing you can do about it because it just doesn't come out. And we all know that. You can shampoo your carpet all day and all night, but if a cat gets back by it and smells it, which it will, what does it do? It marks its territory again. So this is why you can't just be like, oh, I'll just tolerate having so-and-so over in my house, because whether you can't see it, but the effects of having someone in your house with a negative energy are just as crazy as the whole chaos that I just told you about a minute ago, where there's animals running through and doors are being left open. So don't do yourself this big of a disjustice, because if I told you that that's what was going to happen on your house, to your house, if you have a holiday hangout, you would be like, no way, I'm not doing it. That's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard of. I would never do that to myself. I would never do that to my home. I would never do that to blah, blah, blah. But yet here we are because we do it all the time. So I know it's really hard. And guess what? Initially, it sucks really bad because people get all butthurt and they're upset. But guess what, people? You wouldn't be asked to not come to my house if you didn't have toxic behavior. So just because you want to come over and bring your toxicity or your negative behaviors to my house doesn't mean that I have to allow you. Because what? I respect myself. And I have this really cool thing called a barrier. And there you go. Ta-da! Magic. Magical happens. If you have issues with toxic people and holidays and you don't know what to do because you don't want to go over to somebody's house because you know there's going to be toxicity and it's going to drive you crazy and mentally harm you, or you don't want certain people to come over to your house for the same reason because they're toxic and negative and it's going to put your brain into a psychological mess, you need to go back and replay this. Okay? I'm not going to repeat all that. All right. Who wants me to fix them? Da, 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 da. You know what? I'll do it. Casey will do it. Okay, so Casey says, I need paper. That's not what Casey says. I love paper. Seriously love notebook paper. I have notebook paper everywhere. We're going to do a healing on Casey. She has really bad back pain that has started back up. It only occurs whenever I'm laying in bed sleeping. It's so bad it wakes me up and I can't sleep through the pain. Downfall is I wouldn't be able to notice this immediately. I would only know if it has changed when I go to sleep next. Probably not a good one to work on for your live. Totally fine. Okay, we're still going to do it. Okay, so Casey. Casey, remind me how many years younger are you? I love you. So Casey's going to tell me how many years young she is, and then we're going to work on her issue. Okay? 36. So watch how awesome this is. So we're going to address a specific issue. If you've never seen me do this before, it's pretty cool. Okay, well, it's not pretty cool. It's amazing. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to call you because I'm on my phone. I'm on Facebook, so I can't. I'm on Facebook Live on my phone. Okay, but you're just going to type to me, so it's not going to be a big deal. You only need to answer me if I specifically ask you a question or if something pops into your head. Okay, So the way that this works is I do the body code okay, body code methodology. So it is basically creating a balance in your body, a balance in your mind, and a balance in your spirit. So think about those things because you've got three things going on, right? You got your brain functioning, you've got your physical body, and you've got your spirit. Now, what happens when one of those gets out of alignment? You feel yucky, right? You either get sick, you have an internal issue, you have a really bad ache or pain. So everything, I will say that, everything, exclamation point, everything that you deal with in your life is related to an imbalance of some kind. Absolutely, 100%. The cool thing is your subconscious knows how to fix it. It's just that until we really realize that we can measure, yes, we can, folks. We can measure emotions. We can measure energy. And we've been doing it for a long time. It's just that it hasn't really been recognized until we could actually prove it, but they can show you. So go do some scientific research or go find my YouTube channel because I don't want to deal with scientific research right now because, you know, I hate writing papers. But we're going to work on Casey. So she has let me remind myself. Casey has a bad back pain. Tell me if it doesn't really matter. Okay, we don't even need to know details. We're just going to call it your back pain issue, okay? So watch this. Now, I'm going to use this cool thing. So Casey, first I'm going to ask, is it okay for me to connect with you? This is just like connecting to Wi-Fi, okay? So Casey has an energy. I obviously have an energy. I have a lot of energy. I have so much energy, my cheeks are going red because that's how energetic I am. So Casey is going to give me permission to connect with her, and then we're going to take a minute because we like to be gratitude. We like to be grateful. So we're just going to breathe. We're going to be grateful. We're going to ask for help from up above, whatever you believe in, guardian angels. It doesn't matter. We just ask for help from whatever entity, amazing thing you believe in. Okay, and then we're going to dive right into this. So there are 6. It's been a while since I've been in kindergarten. There are 6 things that balance you out. It's going to either be an energy, a pathogen, a circuit system, a misalignment, a toxin, or nutrition or lifestyle. And you're going to hear me talk a million miles an hour because I have this cool thing on my computer screen that Dr. Bradley Nelson created, and everything is lined up in it based off of all the studies of the thousands of people that he has done this in over time, and it works beautifully. After I'm done with Casey, I'm going to tell you something really cool about a story. Not a story, but a release that I did today involving a gun that was really perplexing to me because it wasn't making any sense. And then I was like, beautiful. This is beautiful. When I'm done with people, they're always like, this is so amazing because it makes you feel joy. And when is the last time that you felt joy? I mean, I do it every day, all day, but for some of you, it's been a while. Okay, Casey, here we go. So we're just going to directly ask her subconscious, and then you're going to see me doing this. Kinesthetic muscle testing. You can go research that too. Super cool. It's really awesome. You can even muscle test yourself if you need to take a certain vitamin or a supplement. It is super, super duper cool. So I do muscle testing like this. This is my muscle testing technique for yes or no's. So you're going to see me going 100 miles an hour. And sometimes when I'm working on someone that I have a really good connection with, you'll just see me skip this because I can just see it, feel it, whatever you want to call it. All right. So Casey, we're going to address a specific imbalance with your back pain. So we're going to ask her subconscious. Okay. Also watch this. Is your immune system functioning at greater than 50%, greater than 60%, greater than 70%, greater than 80%, greater than 85%? Yes. Is your immune system functioning at greater than 90, greater than 95? Your immune system right now is functioning at 93%. So isn't that cool? We can directly ask how her immune system is doing. Okay. Now, but she has an imbalance and it's causing a problem with her back. So let's figure out what it is. Your immune system one also too really goes up and down quite a bit. So, but sometimes we can find something, especially if you're dealing with a virus, some kind of pathogen, whatever it is. All right. So back issue. You have an imbalance with your back. So is this imbalance something that we can address today? Yes. Is this in the left or the right? So I'm just looking at my chart and I'm connected with Casey's subconscious. So it's telling me where this is at. Is it a pathogen? This is a misalignment. Hey, Cadence. Is this in the left? Yes. Is it a common misalignment? So she has a common misalignment Is this in the left? Yep. Is it in the skull? No. It's in the vertebral column. Now, sometimes when we find something, it makes complete sense. And it's like, okay, vertebral column, she's having a back issue. But sometimes we run into something that makes no sense to me at all. And so when you stay on and I tell you about the gun thing, you'll know why. Sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't matter. I'm not the driver of the bus. Okay, have you ever seen that really cool book, The Pigeons Driving the Bus? That's what it's like. Your subconscious is driving the bus. I'm just going with the flow. So let's see where her misalignment is. So is it in the left? No, it's in the right. So this is really cool because it's going to pinpoint for us where she has an imbalance. So is this in the cervical vertebrae? No. Thoracic? No. This is in one of these other ones. So thoracic vertebrae in the left or the right. So this one, T7. So this is in your T8. And I think we might have run across one of these before. Thoracic T8 just means that it's out of alignment. Now, I've seen people with issues with their feet creating migraines. So all sorts of stuff can happen. This one's kind of funny because you can actually have hiccups from this guy. But for some reason, she just has a misaligned bone. So do we need to know any more about it? Okay, that's the first thing we're going to ask. We just want to know if her subconscious needs to know any more about it. Usually with stuff like misalignments, we really don't, but let's just ask. So do we need to know any more about this? No. Is there something associated with it, though, that we also have to get rid of before we can realign this area? And the answer to that is yes. So then I'm so fun because you get to get highlighted. So I'm going to highlight that we need to come back and realign that just so I don't forget, really. So let's figure out what the other association is. Okay. So is this associated imbalance with your thoracic T8 being out of misalignment in the left? Yes, it is. Is this one an energy? Yes. So is this one in the left or the right? We can find all sorts of things. Like I worked on someone earlier today who had an imbalance related to them having a thought in their head of not wanting to turn out their marriage, not wanting their marriage to turn out like their parents. And it was reverberating. It was like a reverberating thought, causing them all sorts of problems with sleep. Okay, so this is in the right. It's not an allergy. It's actually an emotion. So emotions are really cool. If they get trapped, they're not so cool. So this is just telling us that Casey has a trapped emotion from some kind of event in her life that has gotten, it's a little ball of energy. It's somewhere stuck in her body. So let's just ask, is this emotion trapped in your back? Yes. So this is a trapped emotion in her back. So we're going to go into our little emotion. I'm going to ask a couple of things just to be sure. Is this in the left? It's in the right. Okay. Is it a common trapped emotion? Yeah. So now I just have this really cool chart and it has trapped emotions on it. And we're going to figure out what trapped emotion she has. And I'm just going to make sure that we don't have these. Okay. Common trapped emotion. So is it in column A? Is it an even? It's an odd. So A odd. Is it in 1, 3? It's in 5. So A5. Let's figure it out. Is this humiliation, jealousy, longing, lust, overwhelm? This is a trapped emotion of jealousy. Now you can have a trapped emotion a million times in your life. The trapped emotion is attached to a specific event. So sometimes we have to ask the subconscious, hey, we know the trapped emotion is jealousy, but do we need to know any more about this event? And her subconscious is saying yes. It just means we need to bring it up a little bit higher so that we can get rid of it. Okay. So let's see. This is why I ask you what your age is. The coolest, super duper coolest part about this is if you're ever needing to, well, if it's you yourself, but this is why sometimes I find in general that sometimes the men, they have been taught that they should never be vulnerable. So they are really, really, really resistant to getting any type of help. And this is one reason why the body code is so great, is because for people too, it's not always guys. Sometimes women don't like to be vulnerable either. This does not force you to sit on a couch and blubble out everything that's ever happened to you. Because how many times have you been to a therapist and you're like, I've already talked about this so much. Probably you can't get rid of it or get past it because you keep having to bring it up. So this is different. All we need to do is just bring it to the tippy top of your subconscious, usually by just finding what emotion it is and the age that it happened at, and then we can release it. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so we do need to know more about her trapped emotion of jealousy. So we're just going to figure out the age that it happened, okay? So did this happen between the ages of 20 to 30? Yes. Did this happen between the ages of 20 to 25? Nope. Did it happen between 25 to 30? Yes. 27. So something at the age of 27. Now, totally up to Casey. She can tell us or not if something is ringing a bell to her, and that's what I'll ask you. I'll say, hey, this is an event that happened around the age of 27, plus or minus a year, and if you want to, you can tell me. I'll just ask her, is there an event that is ringing a bell? And she can even say yes or no. Sometimes we suppress things. You can have a trapped emotion picking up a pizza and getting pissed off at someone that took your parking space. So, she may or she may not. Nothing yet. Okay. And no problem, because here, watch this. Do we need to know any more about it? No. So we actually don't. And later she may message me and say, hey, I remembered what it was. I had this happen to my friend the other day that I was working on. But you don't need to remember. If your subconscious is like, nope, age is good. So now we're going to do this beautiful thing. We're going to get rid of it for her. Okay, you have a beautiful energy meridian in the center of your body. This is how acupuncture works. So kind of like a river flowing through it, right? And then you have little sprouting branches that go all over the place that connect with the rest of your body. So I am going to, because I'm connected to Casey, I'm actually going to release her trapped emotion of jealousy. This is where I'm like, holy unicorn frickety frack, right? How cool is this? Super cool, super works. A lot of times the person on the other end is like, oh my gosh, right? I worked on someone today and they're like, my hands are tingling. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to release this for her. So I release my energy is a little different than some people because I like to feel them go out through my toes, which is really cool. So Casey, here we go. I like to center myself. I ask her to do the same thing. It works better. Just get yourself relaxed and let's release it. Sometimes I get so euphoric like I just did that I get a little dizzy and almost fall out of my chair. Here we go. Breathing. Beautiful. Were we able to release the trapped emotion of jealousy? Yes. Ta-da! Okay. There's usually nothing else that we need to do when we get to a trapped emotion, but is there anything else associated with it? No. But now we have to go back because remember that you have a thoracic, sounds like a dinosaur, T8 that we need to realign. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use our intention. I do have a magnet. You don't have to use a magnet. I can just use my hand, but I like the energy of a magnet. See how I do that? It's really cool. I roll it. It just helps me to keep my energy going. This takes a lot of energy, by the way. Here we go. Beautiful. And it is released. Usually I can tell when it's not because this really crazy thing happens to me where my other hand goes like this. Super weird. Okay, Casey, one down. Let's do another one for you. And now here's what we're going to do because we're running low on time. Okay? After we get done with the live session, I'll keep working on you until your subconscious tells me that we can't go anymore. So you don't have to be on the camera anymore. I can just connect with you still as long as I have your permission, and I'll keep working on you, and then I will email you the rest of your notes, okay? Because I want to just show them one more, and then I'll keep going since you can't really tell unless you're sleeping if this situation is gone. And then I'll just keep in touch with you when we go live again, or hop on over to, this is what we'll do. I will put an update in. So I changed my keto group, by the way. I changed my keto group on my page. I have a group attached to Honest Sassy Mama, and it is now called Blocked Emotions because I suck at making keto updates and posts. But if you're like, but I love keto still, and I want to know, I also created a keto program that's associated with this blocked emotion. So someone asked me today when I was doing a session, they're like, well, can you just release the trapped emotion and help me lose weight? And I was like, well, yes, but no, because here's why. You have to have a plan. Like I can't just like do an imbalance that will make you magically lose weight. That's not how this works, right? But say that you wanted to do keto and you're like, well, I really want to do keto, but every time I try it, then I fail. Can I release an imbalance that will make it so you can do keto successfully? Yes. And it doesn't need to be keto. It can be anything. Like say that you want to do low fat. Maybe you're on a diet, but you can't stop eating potato chips. Like you're just craving potato chips. We can release something that's making you crave the salt or the potato chips or whatever. See how cool it is? But I put on my page, my website is all up and active, so you can go on there and schedule now. It's up on the top. But I have my little packages. So I have one that's 3 sessions, and it's based specifically on doing keto. Yes, I've been doing keto since April of 2019, and I've lost 55 pounds, and I'm now just in a state of maintenance. So I don't have to do anything. It's just the way that I live. Okay. So you can check that out, but you have to do 3 sessions because we have to put together a plan of helping you get started and making sure that you're going strong, right? So you don't fail. Okay. So Casey, let's find another one. Woo! Right? Okay. Do you have another imbalance associated with this pain that's in your back? Yes, you do. Is this one in the left? It's an energy, it's a circuit or system. Let's figure out what this one is. Is it in the left? Yes. Is it a disconnection? It is a disconnection. So sometimes we have disconnections that are usually created from some kind of emotion, some kind of stress. So let's see what hers is. Is yours in the left? Yep. Casey, I hate to break the news. It's not pregnancy related. That's one of the choices. Physical disconnection. So this is just a disconnection. It's a breakdown in communication between 2 physical parts of your body. Some of the other types of disconnects that we can have, you are a spirit having a little physical moment. So sometimes our spirit gets just a little bit, maybe you fell off a step stool. It really can misalign your spirit or your body, but also when we have really big emotional tragedies or emotional things, then our spirit can get a little bit misaligned with your body. Now, one thing I'll tell you is anytime you're watching me or we're talking about the body code, don't associate it with Hollywood because we're not talking about like seances or exorcisms. I'm just talking about a little bit of misalignment. When you're kind of like feeling sort of disconnected. I do that sometimes when I go to work and I get there and I'm like, dude, am I dressed right now? Am I wearing my pajamas, right? Because you're just disconnected. Okay, so this is a physical disconnection of some kind, a breakdown between 2 body parts. So we can actually figure out where it is if we need to. And let's just ask, do we need to figure out where this physical disconnect is? We actually do. So let's find it and then hopefully it will let us get rid of it. So let's go through all the different parts of your body and figure out where it is. So is this disconnection? I'm in the wrong spot. Hold on. Oh, where am I going? Okay. All right. Is this disconnection in the left? Yep. Is it in your skin system? Is it in your urinary system? Is it in your skeletal system? This is actually in your muscular system. So now we can actually pinpoint where it is. Okay, so in the left, yes. Is this a lower limb muscle, upper limb muscle, back muscle? It's actually a back muscle. So sometimes, like I said, things make sense. So this is a back muscle. And let's figure out, is it deep or superficial? So this is deep. And I'm not going to read them all to you, but there's certain deep back muscles that all we want to know now. Is it necessary to know exactly where this is located? No, but let's just ask, is it in your lower back? Yeah. Is there another imbalance that we need to fix before we can align this? Yes. So she has another imbalance associated with the back muscle. So we're going to figure out what that is, and then I'm going to make a note that we're going to come back and we're going to realign and balance this specific group of muscles. So here we go. Let's figure out what your other association is with this one. Is it in the left? Yes. Is this one an energy, circular system? This is actually coming up as a toxin. Is this in the left? Yes. So we have all kinds of toxins, dental toxins, metal toxins, biological poisons, water, cleaning, environment, drugs, food, all sorts of stuff. So this one is in the left. Is it a dental toxin, a biological poison, a food toxin? This is actually coming up as a drug toxin. Is this a toxin that is pharmaceutical? Yes, there's also recreational toxins. So thank goodness we won't have to go into your recreational toxins now. I'm just totally joking with you. This is a pharmaceutical toxin. So all this means is that at some point she has been exposed to a toxin, a pharmaceutical drug that her body just was not super happy with. Is this in the left? Yes. So this is a medication, over-the-counter medication. It's actually just a medication, and I thought you would think that was funny. Okay, so medication toxin. I once met this lady that used to be my next door neighbor. This is a very real thing, right? This was way bad. She had an issue, so they started doing the thing where she had symptoms. They started giving her medications. By the time they were done, woman was in a wheelchair. And she looked like she was about 75. I've shared this before. She really wasn't that old. She might have been in her 40s, but eventually someone got smart and took her off all the pills that she was on, and she popped right out of it and was amazing again. So not uncommon for us to chase symptoms, and then by the time we're done, we're chasing so many symptoms, we're basically poisoning ourselves with prescription medications. So there is a time and a place for prescriptions. Absolutely, I believe that, but it's sometimes it gets a little carried away. So do we need to know any more about the medical toxin? We don't. So you just have one. I don't know. You don't need to tell me, but it would be interesting to know if potentially you started taking a new medication. But we can talk about that later. You can just message me. So is there an associated imbalance with this one that we need to decode? And there is. So we'll come back and we can actually release the medical toxin from her system. The issue is that, right, if she's still taking it, she could still have an issue with it. But sometimes it's just like you took it at a certain time, your body was out of balance at that moment, and so it actually caused a problem. And you could be taking it still and it's not an issue once we release it, okay? But we'll keep an eye on that. So there's an associated issue with your medical toxin. So let's see where this is. So this one in the left, this one's actually in the right. It's pathogen, it's misalignment, some kind of misalignment in the left, it's in the right. This is in a system. Okay, so it's in the left, yes. And we'll just figure it out. Ingumentary, so this is in your urinary system. So whatever kind of medical issue, whatever kind of medical prescription was also having an issue with your urinary system. So, you know, hey, I don't know if you've been having problems going pee-pee, but could be. All right. Is this in the left? Yes, in the right. So we got urethra. No, this is actually in your bladder. Okay. So bladder is simply misaligned. Oh, imagine that. Common symptoms of an imbalance may include discomfort in your lower back. All right, so let's see here. Is there an associated imbalance with this one that needs to be decoded? And the answer is no. So bladder. So guess what we're going to do now? Oh, you guessed right. We're going to align it. Let's see. What is she saying? Doctor gave me many script meds, each overlapping each other, no space in between. I took what they told me to treat mental issues. None of them helped, but after that, it did give me other problems. It's potentially possible. Okay, let's just ask that. Is this medical toxin related to what she just said? Because her subconscious knows exactly, right? Yes, it is. Okay, yes. All right, here we go. Let's get rid of this 3 times. Were we able to successfully release that? Yes, we were. Okay, now we're going to, so that was actually, I said release, but it doesn't matter. Words mean nothing. So we realigned your bladder. Now let's release your medical toxin. Here we go. Do we release your medical toxin? Yes. And now we're going to adjust, realign, rebalance, whatever you want to call it, your back muscle, deep tissue back muscle. Here we go. We're able to get rid of that. Yes. Guess what? And now sometimes just tells me you have a trapped energy. We should just get rid of it. We'll hurry and do it. People want to hop off, they can. Is this in the left? Yes. This is a post-traumatic. So something in your life happened. Is this in the left? This is in the right. This is a recovery interference that's also somehow related to this specific issue with your back. So what is a recovery interference? Recovery interference is an energy that develops when your body is trying to heal and it doesn't really heal correctly. And then you keep having problems. So it can be from a severe injury or an illness, right? And so your body just never got back to a reoccurring state. And it could be anything. scar tissue, muscle spasm, chronic reoccurring inflammation. It can even be, I've seen people even have it with mental issues, with depression, anything. So let's just see. So we know that we're here. We know that we're in recovery interference. And let's just ask, is it necessary to identify any more about this energy? And the answer is yes. So let's just figure it out. All right. This is something that happened when you were 8 years old. So you have recovery interference, something that happened when you were 8. If you remember what that is, you can tell us. If not, it's totally fine. It could be anything. You could have tripped over a skateboard and fell on your face, and it created a problem because you just didn't recover right. Okay? So we'll just wait for her to say maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. And then I'm going to tell you something really cool. Okay. Okay. All right. Do we need to know any more about it? No. Is there an associated imbalance with this? Actually, there is. Okay. So let's see what it is. Doesn't usually happen that we have an associated imbalance with this one, but we do. So let's find it, and then we'll come back and we're going to release your recovery interference. So let's go back. I wrecked on my bike and had to have emergency surgery on my head. I bled a lot. Okay. I can't make this stuff up. Well, that would be, let's ask, is the event that I just said what this is related to? Yes. Okay. So you wrecked on your bike. Do you also have a trapped emotion associated with this? Yes. So let's find it, because that's what I was feeling. You have a trapped emotion. Trapped emotion. Yep. Actually, yeah, you do. Okay. Trapped emotion. It's just a common one. And is it in A or B? Trapped emotion is in B. Is it even or odd? Be odd. Be odd, Casey, be odd. Is it in 1? Yes. Okay, here we go. So B1. Is this effort unreceived, heartache, insecurity, overjoy, vulnerability? So when you wrecked, it created a trapped emotion of vulnerability. Okay? Probably, potentially, I would think, you feel vulnerable when you ride your bike now, right? Pretty traumatizing. Is there anything else we need to know about it? No. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to release your trapped emotion of vulnerability. Then we're going to release your, I'm talking so fast, I'm not even writing down what we're doing. Recovery interference. So here we go. Trapped emotion, 3 swipes, get relaxed. Here we go. And were we able to release the vulnerability? Yes. Now let's release your recovery interference from when you got into the accident. Beautiful. Were we able to get rid of that? Yes. Okay. I'm going to share with you something really cool that I found with someone today. And then Casey, let me just ask, is there more that we should do with you tonight? Actually is saying no. So your subconscious can only process so much stuff, and that is all it's saying that it can do right now. So here's what you're going to do. When you sleep, you're going to see how your back feels, and then we will make an update in the group Blocked Emotions, okay? So it's my group that's attached to Honest Sassy Mama. You can find it, especially if you're on your computer, you'll see a little button that says group, okay? All right, so let's think about this. I got to tell you this really cool thing that happened today, okay? So I'm working on someone, and I get to a physical trauma, okay? Physical trauma, not emotional, specific, physical trauma. And I'm like, huh. And as I'm working on her, and I'm like, physical trauma, she has a physical trauma from an event. We pick the age, okay? So I know what age it happens to her at. And then for some reason, I just visually see a gun. And I'm like, right? And so sometimes when this happens and something just sort of pops up in my head, and Casey, I'm going to disconnect from you. That's just something I need to do, or otherwise I carry your stuff around with me. So I see this kind of thought process of a gun. It's sort of just like when you imagine something, you think about a butterfly pops into your head. That's what I mean by I see something. When I say butterfly, you think of a butterfly. So I'm releasing this physical trauma, and I'm like, a gun. So initially I'm thinking to myself, and I tell the lady I'm working on, I'm like, this has something to do with a gun. But I'm like thinking, unless you've been actually shot with a gun, that wouldn't be a physical trauma. Like I'm thinking someone threatened her with a gun. So that's more of like a emotional trauma, like a trauma that would make you feel like nervous or worry or something like that. So I'm like, whatever. Like I said, pigeons driving the bus, your subconscious is running the show. I don't know what's going on. But I tell her, this is something to do with a gun. And so she's like, yeah, she knows. Because she's like, yeah. And I'm like, but so somebody threatened you with a gun? Like, and I'm worried, she's going to say, yeah, at this point, somebody held a gun to my head. I was freaked out of my mind. But still, then I'm like, how is this a physical trauma? So whatever, just go with it. Because a lot of times things kind of like unwind and they make sense. And so she tells me this. She tells me that she's like, no, I know exactly what it is. I'm like, cool, do share, because I'm lost. It's like, I'm just the driver. Your subconscious is leading. So she tells me that she was married to someone in law enforcement that she's not married to anymore. And he decided to have her go out to the range and she was going to shoot a gun. And it sounded like, maybe this wasn't like her cup of tea. Cup of tea. That maybe this wasn't something she did a lot. She wasn't super excited about it. And I don't even remember what gun she said it was, but a large gun. Okay, if you've ever shot before, you know that guns have a recoil. And depending on the gun, the recoil can be quite significant. So if you're not holding a gun right, you can actually hurt yourself pretty bad. You can, if you've got your hand on the gun wrong, depending on the type of gun it is, you can get hurt. If you're like, let's say that you have a shotgun, if you don't hold it and you don't brace it correctly against your arm, when it goes off, it can hurt you. And so is what happened is apparently her now ex-husband also had somewhat of a, I'm going to call it morbid sense of humor, stupid sense of humor. I don't know, some kind of sense of humor. He decided that he wasn't going to warn her about what was going to happen when she shot the gun. So he basically just let her have it and, said, pull the trigger, and off she went. And so is what happened is that when she shot the gun, the recoil off of it was so significant that it knocked her out. She fell down on the ground, got knocked out, woke up, and he's basically standing above her thinking that it's funny. So that's how her gun was related to a physical trauma, because the gun physically knocked her out. And I was like, oh, well, that makes complete sense now. So there you go. If you're like, this is crazy, but I need to know more because it's crazy awesome, Soul Deliciousness, you can go over to blockedemotions.com. That's where my website is. I have some awesome videos. Hello. Hello. How are you? Kellen just hopped on. We've been working with her. You can hop over. I have a spot. I'm just going to tell you because I can't remember what it is, but you'll see some little tabs across the top. I've been working my hiney off on my website. So, tickle me pink. Go look at it. So it's blockedemotions.com. You'll see some little tabs across the top. So there is about me, right? You can read about me if you'd like to. Start your journey. That's just going to show you all the different things that I do. Holy bananas. I have a holiday special, $35. You've never been able to find joy so inexpensively. Some of you spend that at Starbucks every day. So 45-minute healing session based off of what you need. I do have an emergency healing session. You'll see what that is. Then there's my regular healing session, but right now you just want to go for the holiday one. Then I added 2 more cool things. If you have a business. So I've been an entrepreneur for years and years and years. If you're like, I have a business and I need help with my business, it can be any kind of a business. It can be energy healing. You can do like what I do, whatever. So there's build your business sessions specifically focused on businesses and abundance and using the law of attraction and, whatever it is that you need. And then you'll see my other one, keto coaching. What the Hootalali is keto coaching. So you get 3 sessions. They're 45 minutes long. Plus ongoing daily support between the sessions because I want to make sure you don't fall off the horse. But we're going to remove barriers to help you stay on keto. And then voila, holy cow, magic things happen. So if you go under issues of focus, you can see all the different things that the body code can do. Seriously, be easier for me to tell you what it can't do. But I picked 6 that I thought were pretty, good. And then you're going to see my videos. So I have one on how in the world do proxy sessions work, my journey finding joy. You're going to watch me talk about baby sister Kinley. And then I have a body code session live on there. So you can watch me do this again if you would like. And then there is a schedule now button. It's going to take you to my scheduling app. So you just find a spot that is open. So first you open it up, then you click on the session you want. So unless you're doing keto or business, you're just going to click holiday session special, pick your time zone. Okay, then it's going to pop open and you can see the calendar. So just to make it easier on yourselves, during the week, I only do sessions in the evening, Mountain Standard Time at 6 or 7. Okay, so that you're not hunting all over. On weekdays, I do them all throughout the day. So you can tell if I have an opening because the day will be black. If the day is grayed out, that means that I'm full that day. Okay? Beautiful. Beautiful. If you're like, I don't have $35, then go jump into my emotion code. What am I talking about? Go jump into the blockedemotions.com group, because sometimes I'll just post and say, hey, I'm working on my portfolio and I need to find somebody that has fibromyalgia. And then I'll work with you until we get rid of your issues, so that I can say, hey, I worked with this person. And then all you have to do is give me a cool little comment, a cool little paragraph. Tori, it is blockedemotions.com. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Okay, guys. So we'll keep doing these Sunday lives, and I will bring something to you that's helpful for you no matter what space you're in. And then I'll also, at the end, I'll always do like a little thing like we just did, a live healing. So if you have someone that's in pain, you know somebody that's in pain, those are the easiest ones to work on live, because usually if you're like, oh, my arm really hurts, then we can just work on it. And by the time we're done, you'll be like, my arm doesn't hurt anymore. Okay. All right. Awesome. Tomorrow's Monday. We're going to make it. Don't forget, I go live every morning during the week before we go to work at 7:15 Mountain Standard Time. So you can hop on for those. And I always talk about something that'll help you throughout your day. And there we go. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for hopping on. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go get the meatloaf out of the oven. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.